I know I'm probably going to eat my words at some point in the future when looking back at this video, and that's okay. I'm still a big believer in physical games and game preservation, but the point of this video is to talk about how modern gaming does a lot of good for the industry. So, let's begin. For starters, let's talk about crossplay. If you would have told me 10 years ago that players from all types of platforms would be able to play with each other from anywhere in the world no matter what system, I would have said you're dreaming. But here we are. Crossplay has added a new longevity to games by consolidating all the players into one system. Sure, games are arguably worse now than they were 10 to 15 years ago, but it is still cool nonetheless. Gone are the days when you would have a friend on one platform and you on the other. There's no more debate about whether you should buy a game for a specific system just to play with a friend. You can now play that game wherever you want, and the barrier for entry is cheaper than it has ever been, but I'll get back to that in a minute. There's also Discord on Xbox and PlayStation, and of course PC, which makes communication between the three easier. My second reason is cross-gen. Do any of you remember at the end of the PS3 and 360 era when big titles were coming to both platforms for a time? Games like Battlefield 4 and Assassin's Creed Black Flag came to both 7th gen and 8th gen consoles without much difference between the two. You used to have to buy both versions of the game separately, but now you have to buy it once depending on the platform you're on, and you will get both versions. On PS4, most of the time you get a free next-gen upgrade, but there is a bit of a hassle when you want to play it on PS5 because it wants to install the PS4 version. On Xbox, it automatically determines what platform you are on and then installs that version. Not only does this work with both versions, but in most cases you can even play with the previous generation. Even if your friends haven't made the switch to next gen, you can still play with them. To add an even cooler benefit, many of these games not only support cross-gen, but cross-play as well. Games like Call of Duty, even though they come out on a yearly cadence, will live much longer than the previous games. My third reason is forward compatibility. Sometimes the old hardware stands no chance of playing next-gen games at all, but that doesn't mean that you can't play new games. Game streaming, while not the best way to play, offers the ability for Gen 8 players to stream games to the old gen console. This method varies from ecosystem to ecosystem, but it is still an option. On Xbox, the easiest way is to use your Game Pass Ultimate subscription and look for a Gen 9 only game on there. For example, a game like Starfield has no chance at running on an old Xbox One, but it can run on the newer consoles. If you have a strong internet connection, this is a perfect way to continue playing new games on old hardware. On PS4, you can use the Remote Play feature to connect to your PS5 or a buddy's PS5. One example of this that I did was, my PS5 is hooked up in my basement where I play most of my games, but my dusty old PS4 was in my closet. So, I hooked up my PS4 in my living room. I then connected Ethernet cables to both systems, and then I was able to play my PS5 upstairs. I was able to complete a whole walkthrough of Spider-Man 2 via streaming. Isn't that cool? Of course, it isn't without issues. For example, there's no vibration support when playing PS5 games, because Sony insists that you buy the DualSense controller, but still. My fourth reason is Play Anywhere. This has been a feature for a little while, but it surprises me how many people do not know about this option. If you keep your system in standby mode, you can stream that system to pretty much any device you want, such as your phone, laptop, or tablet. All you need is a Bluetooth controller or a mobile attachment, and boom, your console or PC comes with you. If streaming games doesn't quite work for you, then perhaps you should invest in a handheld. Sure, the Nintendo Switch exists, and there are a handful of games that allow you to utilize crossplay and cross-saves, and the Switch is an amazing, affordable little system that offers mobile console gaming, but in 2024, there are many alternatives. The most obvious being the Steam Deck, where you can take your existing Steam library on the go, but something like the ROG Ally, which runs Windows natively, opens up more options, albeit with the touchscreen Windows. But for Xbox players, they have a slight benefit. This is what I do with my ROG Ally. If there's a game I want to play, I look to see if it supports Xbox Play Anywhere and Xbox Cloud Saves. If it has any of those options, then I'm in business, because if I buy a game with those features on the Xbox store,
That means you get it on Xbox and PC for both platforms, and more than likely, your saves will come with you too. Games like Starfield, Exoprimal, Aliens Fireteam Elite are just some examples. One minor inconvenience is having games that support cross-saves, but require you to double dip on purchasing the games, which brings me to my final modern gaming benefit. The fifth and final modern gaming benefit is cross-saves. Most of the time, if a game supports crossplay, it supports cross-saves. Xbox Play Anywhere titles support this, but what about if you want to move from Xbox to PlayStation? Some developers have their own cross-save solutions. Games like Cyberpunk and Assassin's Creed Valhalla allow you to take your progress from platform to platform. This is an excellent feature that makes the double dipping more enticing. Say you go to a friend's house and they have the opposite platform. Fear not, cross-save has your back.
Modern gaming kinda sucks with games releasing unfinished and overpriced shops, but there's a lot to love about it as well, and I don't think anybody talks about it enough. I've said my piece about how I don't like modern gaming practices, but sometimes you just need to take a break from the negative and look at the positive. And when you stop to smell the roses, you can see that there are a ton of benefits to modern gaming. Thanks for watching. I'm Jack, and I'll be back.